Hi, and welcome to the second eclipse of the month, and this is the final eclipse of September. It'll be happening on September 21st, 2025, and it will be happening at 29 degrees Virgo, which is a powerful degree because it is the 29th degree, and they sometimes say that the 29th degree is some point of crisis, but it's more along the lines of we're wanting to move to the next part of the journey, you could say. So in other words, you're at 29 degrees Virgo, now you want to be at 1 degrees Libra and move into the theme of relationships or moving from the theme of service work, the things that you do, regular stuff. But ultimately, it is a point of a lot of energetic expansion, especially with Jupiter in the mix. And Jupiter is going to be in gate 62, line 1. It hasn't been in this energy since 2014, and that was in June. So that's bringing that energy into play as well. So look back to 2014, what was happening when Jupiter was moving through gate 62, line 1. Interestingly enough, gate 62, line 1 is an energy that is part of the global cross of the Maya, which is the secondary cross of the global cycle we're in right now. Now, this has power as well because the first line is the line we're in. And the first line of the global cycle of the Maya is 62 line 1 and 61 line 1. What this brings is a potential to find occult secrets. Now, this actually wraps into Bernadette Brady, who has the book called The Eagle and the Lark, and I think she has a newer version of it out there as well. And she has a record of a lot of the different eclipses, and she writes little bits about the different eclipses. And this is considered a new south, a 9 new south eclipse. Basically, what it's saying is that whatever news we receive is something that is faded or has a sense of destiny to it, which is kind of a big deal when you think about it. And I think in a lot of ways that can play into the human design perspective, because when we look at the sun and the moon in gate 46, line 1, that's a pretty interesting energy. It is a first line energy as well. And this is talking about the idea of art for art's sake. Basically, what this says is if you are dedicated to what you love doing in your life, whatever that is, eventually you'll be found to to be discovered. And that's basically what it's saying. It is about being within your energy, being within your body, being within your process, something that makes you happy, something that brings you joy. And eliminating the what will I get if this happens or that type of thing, and more about opening yourself to the universe and allowing it to show its hand, especially when we have so much individual energy. And individual energy always pulses off and it pulses on. So we get downloads of a little bit of stuff and then we put the pieces together and then we get a little bit more. And eventually we get the whole image of what exactly this mutative energy is about, what we are meant to do, and how we are in ourselves evolving as we move forward. And this solar eclipse happens also very close to the equinox. So, in other words, it's happening very close to when the seasons change. And so we have equal amounts of daylight and equal amounts of night. So I think it's like 12 hours each. Well, it would be because it's 24 hours in a day. But this is even more impactful. Something else is in balance, and it's talking about balance. And I think that's what this energy is bringing us, this sense of being in balance, being with our process, being in the now, and being present in our lives. And we can't ignore that we have the Earth, Saturn, and also Neptune all in gate 25. Now, Saturn and also the Earth are in exaltation in gate 25, line 1, and Neptune's in gate 25, line 3. So there's three different planets that are within this energy. And that seems to be a big deal too, because it's opposing the sun and the moon. And so it is basically saying, how can you be present in your life? How can you be present in your body? How can you be present in the world around you to see the real world and to be able to go move through the real world because you are aligning with what your body is telling you? But when we have the exaltation of Saturn in gate 25, line 1, and we also have the Earth in gate 25, line 1, this is a special line because Neptune just brought the exaltation back last year. And what this says is that it is about a psychic attunement of knowing what you need to move through life, to move through energy, to heal yourself. And so when we have the Earth in gate 25, line 1, this is grounding us in the concept that you know what you need to move forward in your life. There's nobody else who has the answers that you need. If you need healing of some sort, then Gate 25, line 1 says you have the energy within you, you have the answers within you on how you can move through. All the tools are there for you. And we add Saturn in Gate 25, line 1, and this brings the message into even more clarity. It's basically saying Saturn is giving you the tools, but the responsibility is always going to be on us to decide how we're going to use those tools. Those tools basically allow you to tap into your body, into your consciousness, into your being, and to pull out the information that is required for you to heal something about your life. Whatever it is, it could be mental, physical, it could be any type of healing, healing relationships. It is about healing something. Gate 25 line 1 is also working with Gate 25 line 3, and that's where Neptune is. Now, Neptune's bringing another message, and the message is that it's saying that no matter what comes in our path, no matter what we meet in life, we have the resilience, we have the fortitude to move through it. And that's what Neptune is giving us. That is the message that Neptune is giving us. So Saturn's giving us the tools. The Earth is giving us the tools. Neptune's saying that no matter what happens, and if there are some big events that happen on the world stage or even in your life, whatever happens, you have the tools to move through it and to step into that power that you have, because you do have the power to move through whatever life brings you. Now, with Venus in Gate 59, line 3, that brings in the concept that some people will need to heal relationships of some sort. It doesn't matter what kind of a relationship, if it's romantic, a partnership, or it's somebody you work with, or it's your parent. The bottom line is that it's bringing that into focus, that there is some level of healing that is required. But what it also says is that the way you heal this relationship or the way you work with this relationship may be unconventional. It may mean that it's better to be apart for some times and then to come together again, because that's the third line. The third line has an unconventional way to be in a relationship. So that's exactly what Venus is trying to tell us. And the other perspective is that this could be related to your relationship with money. You can have an unconventional relationship with money, but that as long as it's healthy for you, it doesn't matter what other people say. And that is ultimately the bottom line within this energy, because we do have a lot of individual energy. And this basically saying that the way you do things may not be the way everybody else does it, and that's okay. To move through the energy based on what you think is right for you, completely ignoring the voices of reason that are trying to tell you what you should and shouldn't do. This is ultimately saying that Saturn has given you the tools. You have the tools within you. You can heal whatever needs to be healed. As I said, relationships, money, work relationships, how you deal with your work. Do you overwork, or do you want to do more in your work? And when we look at Jupiter in Gate 62, line 1, this is basically saying instead of being in your life and seeing the world as it is, there's a tendency potentially to want to step into fantasy. Now, fantasy is completely fine because it does allow us to have that break, that time away, and to almost imagine what our life could be. But if you only sit with fantasy and you never really go out in the world and try and make things happen, then that is not in balance. So we need times of being out in the world and trying to work towards what we want in our lives, but also times to be away from it and to fantasize about how we want to have our life unfold or the things that we want for ourselves, which is important. Especially with Jupiter, this is an expansive energy, so it means that the fantasy may be very deep and very easy to draw into, not really want to go in the real world. But everything in this solar eclipse says be in the present moment, be in the now, be in your body, and understand that it has all the answers you need. You're going to figure out things that you never thought you would figure out, because this is about evolving. Now, with Pluto in the last dregs of its trip through the mandala, we are at the end of the mandala. I talked about this a lot, so I'm not going to go deep into it, but it's ultimately saying that you're evolving. It's about letting go of the things that no longer serve you and aligning with the things that make your heart sing. Because in the long run, we're here to be happy. The more occasions we have to be happy, the better our lives will be. It's going to be different for everybody, and what you actually feel like is not serving you anymore. And you'll know it's usually one of those things that it's a niggle that's always saying, yeah, we need to change this up. We need to do something with this. And one more thing to think about for this solar eclipse is that because we have so many first lines, it is very easy to step into this feeling of anxiety and fear, because With all the first lines, it means that there's a need for security, a need to know more, a need to have a foundation. So when you feel this type of fear that can come with this solar eclipse, and this can be sort of before and after the solar eclipse, this anxiety of, oh, what's going to happen? What's going to happen in the world stage? Because a lot of things are happening now, change is happening. But instead of feeling fear, the first line is about awareness. This is about learning what you can to make you feel more secure. And that is ultimately another overarching theme that comes with this particular eclipse. And with the nodes in gate 22, line 2, and 47, line 2, there's two messages. One is that we can't fake it anymore. This is asking us to be authentic with who we are, what we believe, and what we want for ourselves. And if you can't be authentic with other people, at least begin with yourself. Allow yourself to truly want what you really want instead of saying, oh, I might want this, but I can't have it because of A, B, and C. Just basically say, I want this. And how that happens, you may not know. But the first step is to admit that that is part of something that you want for your destiny. And then let things start to unfold. Let the universe start to speak to you. When you put energy into something, you fantasize about something, especially with Jupiter in gate 62, line 1. That is where you can start to believe in something. Believe that you deserve it, first of all, because that opens the door for you to see the opportunities that are there for you. And when that happens, it's almost like the universe starts to listen to your request and things start to unfold in ways that maybe you never expected. But the first step is to actually admit that this is something that you want for your life. And then with gate 47, line 2, this is about saying that although it's nice to ponder, although it's nice to be in fantasy, although it's nice to be, in your mind, going through all the things that you want. And we have the energy of the 6447 happening as well, which will be happening sort of on the 27th of this month. Basically, what it's saying is that decide what you want for your life. But it's not necessary to always be thinking about that 24/7. Because what happens is if you're always thinking about it 24/7, now I know that there are people who say the law of attraction that, you should be thinking about something, everything, you should always be thinking about something 24/7. But I also believe that if you get too focused in on what you want and you don't see those actual tangible results coming to you, it's easy to get frustrated and say, well, it's not working. I'm not interested anymore. But alternatively, if you do have some time to sit with the energy, you let it go and you return to it when you want to, then this gives the universe a break. It gives you a break. And it's not like you're sitting at the front porch waiting for somebody to pick you up. You already know that it will come when it's going to come, as opposed to this expectation that it has to come as soon as I decide that I want it. So there's that middle way, that balance, and this is literally what this whole eclipse is talking about. It is all about balance, finding the middle way, finding the place that makes you feel good. This eclipse will help you find the magic that Gate 46 brings, the magic of being in your body and your body guiding you, your internal GPS guiding you to where you're supposed to be to receive the benefits that are best for you. Now, from a global perspective, we do have some interesting things happening. Now, the one thing that I talked about in the overview for the month was that Mars would be in gate 50, line 4, and that to me feels like it's a time of we could see political corruption or things are being brought to light. It's not a time to break the rules, especially if you have gate 50, line 4, that this is a time not to break the rules in any way, shape, or form. But ultimately, it could show corruption. It could show things that have been hidden. It could be talking about things that are in conflicts, things that are corrupt, leaders doing corrupt things in conflicts, not telling the whole truth, bending the truth to suit their needs. We might see that all play out. When we look at Uranus in gate 20, line 2, the dogmatist, now this is another interesting energy. It's a narrow path. In other words, only believe what I tell you. So we might see leaders out there saying, oh no, what you see is not really what you see. It's just fake. It's fake news. But I would suggest that maybe it isn't fake news and they're just trying to lead you down a narrow path of their beliefs or what they want you to believe. And you, on the other hand, can decide what really works for you. And this is basically saying, even if people are trying to sway you into believing one thing, your heart will tell you what's true. Use your discernment because everything that is said may not be exactly as people are saying. It could be twisted in some way, and that could happen in your own life as well. So, as I say, always do your own homework. If you do, then you won't be surprised if something isn't as somebody said it would be. And with Jupiter in gate 62, line 1, this is also potential for what we call rebellion. In other words, wasted energy that people are trying to say that you don't need all the details. We'll just tell you what the truth is. You don't have to actually have the details. This is especially connected to Jupiterian energy, which is about rules, laws, and regulations. And those kind of themes could be in play in the world where we're watching people again trying to bend the truth, trying to rebel, trying not to give the details, but what it says is that it won't work. People will still look for what they're going to look for. And then we have gate 18, line 3, and Mercury's going to be in there. And this is the line of zealotry. In other words, this is basically throwing everything out. And what it also could indicate is a lot of people will be let go. And I would say political. This is political energy. Because as soon as we have anything with gate 18, we're talking about some level of logical energy. Logical energy is most times connected to politics because it is about a lot of criticism that comes into politics for people who aren't doing their job. And so we might see on the world stage leaders getting very frustrated with the people that work for them and cleaning out everybody, but to the point where it's almost like it's too much. They get rid of too many people and then there's nobody to do the job. And that might be another theme that we might see. So I hope everybody has a wonderful eclipse. And until next time, take care and bye for now.